everyone. Welcome to Enjoy English. I'm Alice.
I'm Betty.
And today, in our The Origins unit, we're talking about caps off to graduates.
Yeah.
Graduates are people who have graduated. That makes sense, right? And caps and gowns are a classic tradition for graduation, which is the ceremony, right? Like graduation, I think we just call it a graduation ceremony, like when you celebrate us actually graduating.
Right. And I think this month, a lot of our students are graduating from high school, from college. So I think it's a little bit of like happiness and sad, like half of it.
Yeah. Like I think it's just like you feel happy you're done, but also maybe sad that you're leaving.
Right. At the same time. And here, let's take a look at some vocab words here. First, let's take a look at caps off to graduate. Usually we say hats off to graduates, right?
Yes, we usually say hats off. But I guess maybe here they say caps because we wear caps, graduation caps.
That's the hat that you are wearing on the graduation ceremony day. So we don't say hat. We usually call it graduation cap.
Cap, yeah.
And what about this word, graduate? The pronunciation is a little bit
It's a little different, yeah. So we would say caps off to graduates, which is, a little different than like graduation, right? So graduates.
Right, and if it's a verb, we say graduate, right? And now it's a noun, so it's graduate.
Yeah.
Right, and caps off is usually like, hey, congratulations.
Yeah, like hats off to you. So this is like caps off to and you, or I guess graduates. So congrats to you, caps off to you.
Right.
So that's a lot to go in the intros. So let's think about that and then talk about the first paragraph.
Caps off to graduates. Graduating from a high school, university, college, or academy is an important ritual with a long history. When students graduate, they are moving on to another major chapter in their lives. Graduation ceremonies give all the graduating students a great sense of importance. A big part of the ceremony is wearing the academic regalia, which has been much the same for hundreds of years. The attire typically consists of a cap and a gown. Known as a mortarboard, the cap is a hat with a square shape and a tassel hanging from one side. It is believed to have been created in the 15th century. Its design was influenced by a type of hat called biretta, which was worn by Catholic clerics and scholars. Graduation gowns have an interesting history as well. They have been used since the 12th century, a time when the first universities were formed. In those days, most professors were priests who wore clerical clothes, which were typically long robes. Gowns were also designed to help people stay warm because the auditoriums and halls of Europe in the late Middle Ages were rather chilly. In the 14th century, Oxford and Cambridge University made caps and gowns their official graduation attire. Since then, the iconic look has been used at graduation ceremonies worldwide.
All right, so let's continue on to the first paragraph. We start off with graduating from a high school, university, college, or academy is an important ritual with a long history. So graduating, right? We're using that same word a lot in different forms. So graduating is the verb, right? We're graduating from college, right? They say university, high school, academy. A lot of things we can graduate from.
That means you finish your learning, your studies at a particular institution. And here, academy, this seems like a new word to us. What does that mean?
It's still like a type of school. I would say usually, I don't know, when you think of academy, you kind of think of like private school usually, right?
Or
like
on a particular skill?
Yeah, it's usually like some
right.
sort of particular subject or like focus. Yeah.
Right. And what about ritual, this word, ritual?
A ritual is like a tradition, right? Like you have, I don't know, ritual. I guess it could be religious rituals as well. It could be school, like rituals. It can be just things that you do a certain way and people like always do it a certain way.
Right. Like a set of actions that you usually perform. So you can say, for example, drinking coffee is a part of my morning ritual.
Oh, that's a good one. Morning ritual. Yeah.
Right. So it's like routine.
Yeah, like routine. When students graduate, they are moving on to another major chapter in their lives. So you might think of like chapter as in books, right? You read chapter books, but this, we use it like in your whole life. It's made of many chapters, many sections or segments.
Right. A part of your life. And Alice, do you remember when you graduated from college? Were you excited about that?
I was, but I was also a little sad. Same thing that we mentioned earlier, where I didn't know what's happening next in my life.
Were you nervous at that time?
Yeah, I would say I was pretty nervous because I didn't know what to expect.
Right, in the future.
Yeah, kind of like, what's this next chapter in my life, right? like, what do I do next? Because school, I knew what to do, but I didn't know what to do afterward.
Right, you don't know what is expected of you. And yeah, that could be a lot of, I think you have to spend a lot of time after graduation kind of to figure out what, you really care about, what you really want to do. Yeah.
Next, we have graduation ceremonies give all the graduating students a great sense of importance. And I think that's kind of part of the reason why it just has been such a long tradition, because it feels official. It feels very like proper. Like, yes, it's, I guess, because sometimes people think you don't really need the ceremony, and that's true, but it just feels, I don't know, like there's a real purpose.
Important.
Did you kind of feel that at your graduation?
That's true. I feel like when I had my graduation ceremony, I felt like I completed something and I am celebrating it with my parents, with my friends, kind of like I've completed it, and now kind of people are applauding for my achievements. Like I've done something great, although I didn't really do anything at college, but like it was worth it. Yeah, I guess that's what the purpose of it, right? The purpose for many different types of rites of passage in society.
Yeah, just like, I don't know, hopefully all of you will look forward to your graduation when it happens. So let's take a break. That was even though it's a small paragraph, a lot of info. So take a break and we'll get back to the next paragraph. All right, continuing on. A big part of the ceremony is wearing the academic regalia, which is a very fancy word, but academic regalia, which has been much the same for hundreds of years. Now, something I wanted to note is like, you can say academic, which is probably a more common, I guess maybe more American way of saying it. But you can hear people say like academic, and that just slipped out too. I don't know if that's just more British or just a certain way of saying it, but academic's more common. But if you said academic, that's also right. So
okay, so different pronunciations. Yeah, and here in this paragraph, we're actually looking at some very difficult words here. Yeah, so pay attention. So first, I think we need to go through the word regalia. What does that mean? That doesn't look like English.
That is, I actually don't know where the origin of that word is from. But it's just like, I don't know, all the stuff, like all the things.
Of, like clothes, everything that you wear.
Yeah, I guess, I think outfit might be a close or a similar-ish synonym, right?
Right.
Yeah. So like academic outfit, but I feel like it sounds more proper when you like this
formal.
Yeah, like not just outfit, because outfit could be a daily outfit, right? But I think this is a little more fancy.
Right. And here, actually, regalia here, it's referring to what we've talked about in our subtitle, caps and gowns all together. We call that regalia.
Right. Yeah, together, not just one or the other. Next, we have the attire typically consists of a cap and gown, which is what we mentioned, right? And if it consists of it, that means it's made up of it, or it has it in it. Right. Like you can say like this meal consists of meat and vegetables, right? Like it's made up of, or it has it in it.
And here is actually a very important phrase in high school because it's always used in active voice. You don't say is consisted of. When you use consist of, it's always in active voice. You can say be made up of, but you always use consist of instead of be consisted of. Be careful with that. And here, attire is actually another way of saying regalia. We're seeing many, synonyms in this unit. Like we have graduation, we have graduate, we have graduate. Like they're kind of the same word, like they belong to the same family. And here we are looking at like words that mean the same thing, but we say it a little bit differently. So attire, regalia, outfit.
Yeah, there's probably more, but these three are good for now. Known as a mortarboard, the cap is a hat with a square shape and a tassel hanging from one side. So the tassel is like that little thing that hangs off. And I don't know if all of them say the same thing. I remember mine, I think, actually mine didn't say anything, but some of them I've seen, they have like the graduating year on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has like a little like, some of the people like decorate them. They might have like a little jewel or like a mascot on it, maybe your school mascot. I think mine was just plain. But yeah, so the tassel during the ceremony, you move it from one side to the other when you officially graduate.
Oh, really? I didn't know that because when I was in college, actually, I think we rented the cap.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to return it. So I didn't really pay attention to like where it goes because I need to return it anyway. So I didn't bother to put anything on it, right? But here we see another word for this cap, right? What is that, Alice?
Oh, a mortarboard.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Which is, I think normally if you just refer to it as a cap, that's fine.
Right.
But it's good to know, right? That particular hat, cap, whatever, is also known as a mortarboard. The one that, I don't know if you were allowed to decorate your caps.
No, we weren't.
Oh, so you did rent, because for us, I think we bought the caps, but we rented the gowns. So you could keep the cap, which I still have, I guess, somewhere. Yeah, so we were allowed to decorate it. But yeah, if you rent it, you can't decorate it. Yeah. But anyway, let's move on to, it is believed to have been created in the 15th century. A long time ago. Let's see, that is the...
How many years?
Oh boy. 500?
Since you brought that up.
600 years ago?
600. Between 500 to 700?
Yeah, somewhere there.
Okay.
Many, many years ago. Its design was influenced by a type of hat called biretta, which was worn by Catholic clerics and scholars. So if the design was influenced by something, that means the type. So what it's influenced by was the biretta, and that influenced the cap. So you can be influenced by celebrities, by teachers, by parents. You're influenced by lots of people.
Right. So when A influences B, that means it changes how B develops, how the other thing develops, right? And here, let's move to the previous sentence a little bit. It's believed to have been created. Be careful. This is also like a grammar point you probably need to keep in mind if you are taking the college entrance exam. It is believed. So now we still believe. But what happened in the past? It happened in the 15th century. So after believed to, you need to have that perfect tense, have been, not be, but have been. Be careful because that already happened in the past, but now we still believe it. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of difficult words and grammar points.
Yeah, we have like influenced by, and then we also had, later it's worn by Catholic clerics and scholars. So
another
big
word. Scholars.
So scholars, I guess, are they're, usually when I think of scholars, I think of people who study a certain thing, like usually academically, right? Maybe a scholar in, I don't know, biology or science or some sort of people who've studied something and they achieve things in that field. Usually we think of those people as scholars.
Usually very specific and very detailed learning. And usually you think of scholars as people working in universities.
Yeah.
Right? Usually professors, they are scholars also. Yeah.
And the word that's similar to is scholarship. So usually a scholarship is for scholars, right? Future scholars, and they give them money to study for people maybe who don't have money to study or, would like to earn money to study. Scholarships.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's take a break again. A lot of words, and then we'll get into paragraph 3. Okay, paragraph 3. We start off with graduation gowns have an interesting history as well. So we talked a lot about the cap. Now we're talking about the gown, which is what we wear on our body. It kind of looks like a big dress, I guess you could say.
Yeah, some people might say robe. I guess in some way they're different, but gowns and robes, they're just kind of like longer piece of clothing.
Yeah, I think graduation robes would also be appropriate. Gowns is more commonly said, but robes are fine too. Yeah. It's just very, very big, wide piece of clothing. Very comfortable, I guess. Yeah. So I think also sometimes people, like if you think of a bathrobe, right? It's also very wide and comfortable. I guess we don't say gown for that one, though. That one,
but nightgowns would be something like tighter, fitter, something like that,
yeah,
right?
I think nowadays people don't really wear nightgowns that much anymore. We just wear pajamas. But yes, that is a term you'll see in a lot of like old books. They wore their nightgowns.
Usually they're just like longer pieces, go over your knees. Yeah, in one piece.
So it is like a dress basically. Yeah. They have been used since the 12th century, a time when the first universities were formed.
Oh.
So I actually didn't realize the first universities were formed in the 12th century. So a very, very long history. And that's why a lot of those traditions really haven't changed very much over time. Some things change rapidly in life, right? But I think some traditions, especially in academia, really stay the same. Yeah, they really, like with the whole cap and gown thing, I think they really, caps and gowns were fashionable then, and they kept it till now.
And I think I'm surprised a little bit because that tradition actually get carried over to like Asian world. Usually, in the past we don't have, I don't know, but in the past it's supposed to come from Western countries, right?
Yeah, I'm curious what, I don't know, before it spread to the East, I wonder what
do people wear for their graduation?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure they had something, but yeah.
I hope nothing.
Not nothing. Or maybe just everyday clothes, but hopefully they have something formal and nice. Yeah.
Okay, so since the 12th century, so you have the since, so you have to use present perfect. And after a time, you have this word when, because a time is when, right? So if you want to add something after a time, you want to explain what time, what happened at that time, you have to add when. Okay, be careful.
In those days, most professors were priests who wore clerical clothes, which were typically long robes. So here we go, robes, right? Very similar to gown. And professors are usually what we call people who teach at universities, right? So we wouldn't call a teacher at a high school a professor, but once you get to college or university, then you might say, Professor so-and-so, I need help with my homework. So these are professors, but in those days, professors were priests, actually. Nowadays, most professors, they studied education, right? But back in the day, they were actually religious people.
Who were priests?
Priests are usually part of the church, usually in this case, I would imagine the Catholic Church, because they mentioned that earlier. And the priests, usually, if you've seen priests, they wear long robes, right? Their traditional outfit is, clerical clothes are robes or kind of gowns, right? Yeah. So that seems to be how kind of it started, right? We got that inspiration or influence from those priests.
And I guess that's understandable because back in those old days, probably if you belong to a church, it's more likely for you to receive education, to get knowledge, to read books, right? Back at the time when books weren't so common and popular. Yeah, so I think the development of religions and the development of education, higher education, they're kind of like they were tightly related in history. And here you see the word professors. We mentioned this word when we talked about scholars, right? Professors usually more focused on the teaching side of them. But scholars is more like your professors, after they finish their lessons, they go back to their lab and they work on their experiments. Yeah, scholars and professors, synonyms as well.
Gowns were also designed to help people stay warm because the auditoriums and halls of Europe in the late Middle Ages were rather chilly. So chilly is a good word because usually in the wintertime, we often say boy, I'm kind of chilly, right? It's very cold. It's kind of a more fun way to say cold. If you are tired of just saying, oh, I'm so cold, you can try switching it up by saying, ooh, I'm very chilly.
Right. Is it like more colloquial?
Yeah. Definitely less formal for sure. Yeah.
And auditoriums and halls are where, graduation ceremonies take place.
Yeah, usually it's a big room, right? We wouldn't just hold it in a tiny classroom. We have it, in a big hall or auditorium. Yeah, those are places where we'd have ceremonies. I think actually we had them in our sports stadium or arena because we had a lot of students.
And also parents and friends.
Yes, that's the thing. You have to have enough for all the audience members as well. So in the 14th century, Oxford and Cambridge University made caps and gowns their official graduation attire. Wow, that's, I didn't realize, again, this timeline. The 14th century is still so long ago. But it started with Oxford and Cambridge, which I believe are in England, right?
And they made caps and gowns official. What does that mean when you make something official?
I would say that means that you make it formal or make it proper, I guess. That you
announce to everyone. You kind of have to wear it to the ceremony.
I guess you announce. You kind of make it a rule, I guess, in a way, right? Like it's And actually, that is a rule now. Actually, my graduation ceremony, you had to rent.
Oh, you had to?
Yeah, you could not go if you did not wear the cap and gown.
Oh, I didn't know it's so formal in the U.S.
It's like a rule, which is strange because they make you pay for it. So it's like,
I'm making money from it.
So you have to do it. It's a little strange, but
it's good for you and good for business, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Right. So the tradition started back in the 12th century, and it was made official, was made formal, and 14th century, right? And now it's carried to like 21st century.
So really long history of the same. We haven't changed our clothes since the 14th century, really. But it's I think that's why I could in the academic world, things really stay very consistent, I think, for
very
so long.
Strict and standardized.
Standardized. They love that.
Right.
Since then, the iconic look has been used at graduation ceremonies worldwide, which is what we mentioned, right? Not only in the West, do they have that, we also have it here in the East.
Right. And iconic, what does that mean? Usually when something's like Beatles.
Very iconic. Just everyone knows them. Everyone, I guess, they recognize it from their look, Right. So we see a cap and gown, we think graduation. So so that's all the time we have today. But we will see you all next time at the next lesson. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.